Hello, good morning, and namaskar. Today we will start from where we have left yesterday. पेज नंबर 32 तक हम लोगों ने कर लिया था क्वेश्चंस एंड आज कुछ नए क्वेश्चंस फिर करने वाले हैं हम लोग। तो स्टार्ट करते हैं, चलिए। विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग धर्मशास्त्रिक टेक्स्ट laid out the rules of gender conduct, marriage and the property right for women during Gupta period? During Gupta period, various Dharma Sutras were written. Some of the Dharma Sutras are mentioned here: Narada Smriti, Manu Smriti, Yagvalya Smriti. But I'll tell you some of other Dharma Sutras like Apastav Dharma Sutras are there, and there is Madhav. He was a saint in south. He has another Dharma Sutras. And if we talk about north and south, there is basic difference is that in south you can marry in nearest Sapindas. Sapindas means nearest in birth. For example, in south they can marry their uncles. Uncles means maternal uncles, daughter. That concept exists in south, but in north it does not exist. And almost every Dharma Sutras are talking about women have their property right, but in some cases the women directly don't have property right, but they have their son through which they can have property right. So here answer will be D. And there is mention of Stridhan. Stridhan are those dhan or those wealth which are exclusively to women. They can be carried through inheritance or widow right. In Gupta society, Ganika was typically referred to. Ganika was a trained dancer, I think. They are mostly trained in music and refined behaviors. Ganikas were elite courtesans, often highly educated in dance, music and literature. There is called Gandharva Vidya. आप लोगों ने नाम सुना होगा गंधर्व विद्या. एंड गंधर्व विद्या में जो पारंगत होते थे उस टाइम पे उनको कोर्ट में जो राजा का कोर्ट होता था, सिंहासन होता था, दरबार होता था, उसमें परफॉर्म करने के लिए मिलता था। और जब राजा उससे खुश हो जाते थे तो कुछ लोगों को रेगुलर परफॉर्म करने के लिए रखा जाता था। And Ganika is also mentioned in the Kam Sutras. Moving to the next question, which of the following best describe the difference between Kulistri and Ganika? Kulistri is basically is chaste wife. Chaste wife means no extra marital affairs. And sees other as their brother, father, children. While Ganika is a trained dancer. Moving to the next question. What does the concept of Stri Dhan in Dharmsastric text represent? Dowry not, it is a female land ownership right not. It is about the property gifted to at marriage and considered her legal wealth. C is the right answer. And it is mentioned in the Yagvalya Kashmrita. Which Chinese monk visited India during Chandragupta II reign and documented urban life, religious practices, and caste-based exclusion like untouchability? During Chandragupta period, Fahian has visited untouchability is not a new thing. It has been going through ages. So B is the right answer. Moving to the next question. Which of the following were indicator of slavery or a bonded laborer in urban society? Domestic slave mentioned in the inscription. Reference to Dharm Shastra's Dasas mentioned in Kam Sutra about words, ownership of maids. Royal law prohibiting all form of slavery. No, this is wrong. 1, 2, 3 is the correct option. No royal edict banning all slavery. All is an extreme word, and slavery is somewhat prevalent in the ancient Indian society. Even the various Dharma Sutras text and literary texts mentioned dasas. Questions. Next question. Untouchables or chandalas were completely excluded from Gupta urban society. Regions. Urban spaces were open and casteless in nature. See, urban space were casteless in nature, तो ये अपने आप में contradictory statement है. Untouchables and chandals were completely excluded from urban society. Yes, urban chandalas were living in separate society. Fayan mentioned Chandala lived outside the city wall, showing exclusive despite urban economic growth. Moving to the next question. According to the Kam Sutras, which of the following professions were respected urban occupation for women? Ganika was a respected profession. Ganika were considered cultivated and the part of the refined aesthetic culture of the Gupta cities. Next question. Which text detailed description of urban elite behavior, aesthetic, and erotic social life? Kam Sutra. Kam Sutra is a key source of understanding urban aesthetics, gender relation, courtly life, and Ganika culture. Which of the following practices were explicitly noted by Fahian in his travel account? Buddhist monastery in urban areas were there, chandalas living outside city gates, free hospitals for poor was there, decline of Sanskrit education in city. He didn't observe, but I think Sanskrit was more prominent in Gupta's period. And he didn't mention a decline of Sanskrit education. Let's see some facts. Women's right Stridhan given in Yagvalaka Smriti, right of widowed, celebrity Dasa system in Dharmsastra, bonded labor in urban homes, gender roles, Kam Sutras, contrast between Kulastri and Ganika, prostitution, Ganika as elite and educated, courtsmen untouchability, Fahian accounts Chandala living in outside the city, urban religion, guilt, donation to the temple, religious polarity, legal text, Manusmriti, Narada Smriti, Yagvalaka Smriti, etc. used to define rules, law, and there is also the schools, like there was a question in 2021. Mitakshara at the Abhag school. And the Abhag school is mostly famous in Bengal region, and Mitakshara in remaining part of North India. The Abhag school talks also about the women's right in properties, while Mitakshara talks about the woman's right, but it talks about Stridhan. Stridhan and various Hindus adoption law, inheritance law, etc. are based on these Dharma Sutras. And prominent one is being Manu. Legal text Manu Smriti, Narada Smriti, Yagvalakya Smriti, etc. Foreign resource Fahiyan. When Sang was not there. Now next question. Mrijkatika attributed to Sudrak is an important literary sources for which of the following aspects of Indian life. Now we are going into the detail of the literature. Mrijkatika. Answer is the urban economy and merchant guilds, role of courtesans in society, satirical portrayal of the Brahminical orthodoxy. A is the answer. Let's see explanation. Mrijkatika, the little clay cart. Mrijkatika means एक मिट्टी से बने हुए कार्ट जो छोटा सा gives rich insight into urban life, the love story of Vasant Sena. Mrijkatika tells about Vasant Sena. Class and caste dynamic, guild and political corruption. It has no focus on rural temple architecture. Mrijkatika is all about urban life, the story of Vasant Sena. She was courtesan. Which of the following professions are mentioned in Mrijkatika? Various professions are mentioned, like definitely gardeners will be there, ivory carvers will be there, washermen will be there, prostitute will be there. We call it Ganika. And later on we will see various names attributed to this occupation. Which literary work by Varahmi described ideal city planning, architecture and social rituals of urban life? Brihat Samhita. Vrihat Samhita. is written by Brahmir and it tells about the city planning, architecture, social rituals of urban life. Brihat Samhita is an encyclopedia Sanskrit text in the Gupta era of covering town planning, astronomy, architecture, rituals, etc. Now, let's see what is written in detail in Brihat Samhita. Varahmihi text is include astrological and architectural advice for the ruler and the urban planners, recommending city zoning and Varna based segregation, reflecting Gupta era social ideology. If the Brihat Samhita is talking about urban life, then there will be the fortified walls and gates, placement of temples near water bodies, market arranged by profession, resident segregation based on varnas. Moving to the next question, Amar Kosha. Amar Kosha has been written by Amar Simha. Significance क्या है? It is a Sanskrit thesaurus that includes terminology for urban profession. Basically, all these books are focused on urban lives. Amar Kosha is a Sanskrit lexicon widely used by scholars. It lists various profession, caste, cities, and urban related terminology. Now, I already told you that there has been several names attributed to this occupation. Now it can goldsmith, swarnkara, true, perfumer, gandhika, washerman, rajika, dancer, nartaka, all the above. Amar Kosha has categorized based on varna and profession. Question number 77. Mrich Katika reflects urban social mobility and challenges to the caste hierarchy. The hero is a Brahmin who falls in love with a courtesan and win her love without facing societal consequences. स्टेटमेंट 1 में हम अर्बन सोशल मोबिलिटी की बात कर रहे हैं, स्टेटमेंट 2 में हम लव की बात कर रहे हैं. तो दोनों स्टेटमेंट सही है बट दोनों एक दूसरे को सपोर्ट नहीं करता. Which of the following literary text provide insight into the urban architecture? हम लोगों ने अभी तक बृहत संहिता के बारे में पढ़ा जिसको लिखे थे बराहमिहिर. एंड इस बुक के बारे में और क्या जानते हैं आप? ये अर्बन लाइफ के बारे में बताता है आपको. अमर कोशा जो लिटरेरी सोर्सेस हैं फॉर मैनी स्कॉलर्स, संस्कृत स्कॉलर्स. वेरियस ऑक्यूपेशन मेंशन करते हैं ये बुक, लाइक गोल्ड स्मिथ स्वर्णकार, परफ्यूमर गंधिकाज एटसेट्रा. मनुस्मृति मनोज ने लिखा है. कामसूत्रा भी अर्बन एस्थेटिक्स को दिखाता है. कामसूत्रा किसने लिखा? वात्सायन. मनुस्मृति इसमें से लीगल और रिचुअलिस्टिक है rather than urban aesthetic, because Manusmriti is Dharma Sutra, it talks about laws, nature, etc. बृहत संहिता. अमरकोश. Amarkosa is social satire on caste against Brahmin. Brihad Samhita, city planning, architecture, women. Mrichkatika, urban occupation. Mrichkatika is on social satire on caste. Mrichkatika is on social satire about Brahmanism. And Mrichkatika, Nagsena, Vasant Sena. Story. And she was Ganika. Amarkosha is about urban occupation and synonyms. Which of these themes is common across Brihat Samhita? I think description of urban and social occupational life is common to all three. Which inscription give detailed information about guild functioning as banking institution as in early Gupta Indias? दामोदर कॉपर प्लेट इंस्क्रिप्शंस जो हैं वो हमें ये बताते हैं कि गिल्ड जो थे बैंकिंग इंस्टीट्यूशन की तरफ फंक्शन कर रहे थे उस टाइम. Moving to the next question. Damodar plate inscription was in Bengal. क्या बता रहे थे दामोदर प्लेट इंस्क्रिप्शन की? गिल्ड was functioning as a banker. In Gupta era urban centers, guilds were often associated with which of the following? ये हम ऑलरेडी देख चुके हैं ये क्वेश्चंस. Religious donation operated as financial intermediaries but did not recruit rural laborers in modern industrial sense. Which of the following crafts were predominantly associated with the Gupta urban economy? Ivory carving was there, stone sculpture was there, textile weaving was there, terracotta art was also there. And it all did flourish in Ujjain, Patliputra and Mathura region. Gupta period marked a significant change in religious architecture due to no option A decline of Vaishnavism. No, Vaishnavism has emerged a dominant religion during this period. Emergence of temporary wooden shrine, growth of permanent temples with icon. Yes, there was a growth of permanent temples in which even deities, kings were also made part of it. Devgar, Tino themes correct. देवघर में दशावतार टेम्पल है. दशावतार टेम्पल्स के बारे में बोला जाता है कि अर्लीस्ट टेम्पल है जो कि शिखरा के, और देवगढ़ के टेम्पल जो अर्लीस्ट टेम्पल है नो भीतरगांव टेम्पल जो अर्लीस्ट टेम्पल जो बेस्ड ऑन stone pillar. Next question. Bhakti tradition gained prominence during the Gupta period. True. It offered a personal emotional connection with the deities through ritual sacrifice. I don't think ritual sacrifice was prominent in Bhakti period. So answer will be C. R is false. When there is devotion, there is no need of sacrifice. Which Gupta era literary text promote Bhakti ideals and Vishnu worship through allegorical storytelling? Answer is Vishnu Dharmotter Puran. Blends aesthetic theory, iconography, Bhakti ideology. Now there is emergence of Tantra. The emergence of Tantra during the Gupta period is best described by which of the following statement? It replaced Vedic rituals entirely. No, Vedic rituals was not replaced. Rituals were not replaced. It emphasized purity and caste orthodoxy. No, Tantra is never focused on purity. In fact, it is said to be the one of the impurest form to be in the direction of the god. It introduced esoteric rituals, mantras, and use of female deities. Yes, goddess Tara was used, not used, worshipped. Sorry, sorry, Matara. Seva and Buddhist Vajrayana stream was there. Basically, Tantric tradition is a Shakti tradition where female deities are worshipped. Tantric religious development during this period influenced which of the following? Rise of Shakti tradition, true. Use of mandala and yantras, true. Sexual symbolism in rituals, true. Monastic reform in Theravada, true. Theravada के बारे में I wasn't confirmed. Theravada was largely orthodox and not influenced by Tantra. Which term is associated with Tantric practitioner who followed heterodox rituals? Kapalikas. शक्तिमान जो सीरियल आता था उसमें अंदर एक कपाला नाम का वो था, that is Kapalikas. Heterodox rituals follow करते थे and Kapalas were seva ascetics. Tantric themes of female divinity and mysticism most directly contributed to the later evolution of Visaktism. Which of the following Buddhist Tantric texts that began emerging during the Gupta period? Hevraj Tantra. Guild's endowment was mentioned in Damodar plate inscriptions. Female divinity cult, Tantra and Shaktism true. Vaishnava temple art, Devghat temple true. Buddhist moral art, Ajanta true. All the A, B, C 1, 2, 3, 4. A is answer. Which of which Gupta site shows integration of the religious relief sculptures and natural rock? Udaygiri. Next question. Which of the following Gupta era inscription multiple donation by guild to religious establishment. Mandsaur inscription of silk weaver guild shows religious patronage. Gupta period witnessed a consolidation of Vaishnavism symbolized by elevation of Krishna as a supreme creator. The Gupta king, especially Samudragupta and Chandragupta II, promoted Vaishnavism by portraying Krishna and Vishnu as the supreme deity, often linked to royal ideology, not biology. Samudragupta and Chandragupta. The image of Anantasaya reclining on the serpent Ananta in the Gupta temple art symbolizes the Anantasaya posture represent Vishnu in a cosmic slumber, Brahma symbolizing cyclical creation. Udaigiri rock cut shrines MP combines Vaishnavite themes like boar, varha, ये उदयगिरी एमपी में है, एक जो उड़ीसा वाला वो नहीं है. Which deity became the prominent in Gupta era sculpture as a warrior goddess, often associated with the lion and demons, goddess Durga. Ganesha, विघ्नहर्ता, removal of obstacle का मतलब विघ्नहर्ता. Kartikeya, war god associated with the peacock. Lakshmi, goddess of wealth. 1, 2, 3. Which of the following Buddhist school gained prominence in the tantric practices? Vajrayana. Next question. Gupta ruler heavily patronized Jainism. Reason: Jainism was considered a path of devotion and temple building. False statement. First is false statement. Because primary royal focus was on Vaishnavism and Saivism. It was not a major recipient of. सो क्वेश्चन फ्रेमिंग में कुछ गलत हुई है. पहला स्टेटमेंट गलत है, सेकंड भी गलत है. सेकंड सही हो भी सकता है. Which temple is considered one of the earliest surviving Hindu temple built during Gupta period? Dasavatar temple at Devgarh is among. Vaishnavite theme. Identify the character of Gupta sculpture. Graceful, idealized human figure. Which of the following was not written during the Gupta period? अभिज्ञान शाकुंतलम, आर्यभट्ट, मृच्छकटिका, मनुस्मृति. Manusmriti was written during 2nd century BC, while other text is a Gupta classical age. Which dramatist was associated with Chandragupta II court and is considered one of the India's greatest poets? Kalidas. Author of Meghdut Raghuvansh, Abhijan Shakuntalam. Which among the following wrote Aryabhatta? Aryabhatta wrote the Aryabhatta, where we can find the concept of pi, place value system, and rotation of the earth. Next question. The Gupta era scientist Varamihir is associated with which field? Astronomy and astrology. Varamihir, who has wrote Brihat Samhita, an encyclopedia that covers astronomy, astrology, weather, omens, architecture and gemology, etc. Aryabhatta, rotation of earth, pi value, Sushrut surgery, classification of disease, Charak, internal medicine. A. Which text laid down the surgical technique and classified 300 plus surgical instruments? Charak Sushrut Samhita, sorry. Sushrut Samhita is a classical text on Ayurveda surgery, including plastic surgery, cataract removal, and anatomy. What was the significant mathematical innovation during the Gupta period? The place value system, concept of zero, decimal notation, and even algebra method took root in the Gupta period. Which Indian text provide information about excellent craft guilds during Gupta period? Arthashastra. Although Kautilya's Arthashastra continued to be relevant and was preferred to even in the Gupta era, where craft guilds were active, wealthy, and autonomous, playing an important role in social life. Which of the following were the functions of guild ceremonies during the Gupta period? Here here's a repeated question, Sora. Repeat, 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 repeat. So that's all for today. Thank you very much. Keep watching and keep learning. Thank you.